Hi, everyone. My name is Lala. I'm on the content team here at Beyond Type 1, and I'm joined by some of my fantastic teammates who are either living with diabetes or related to folks with diabetes, because today we're going to talk about glucagon. There's some amazing new glucagon options on the market these days that we know not everyone knows about. So we're going to talk about what glucagon is, why you should go ahead and get a prescription if you need it using one of the copay cards that are available from all the different manufacturers. And then we'll talk a little bit about our experiences with glucagon. So I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 10, almost 25 years ago. I almost never had glucagon on me when I was first diagnosed because the old glucagon scared me. It was a little bit hard to use. It had a big needle. I didn't like it. Now, with the new glucagon options that are available, I now carry around a nasal spray glucagon called Baqsimi. I've also played around with some of the training versions of the auto injectors that are available on the market that are super easy to use. That Ginger is showing us the different versions that are available. We want to let you know that if you use insulin, you do need to be able to carry glucagon with you as well. Insulin has the possibility of lowering your blood sugar to a dangerous level if you accidentally take too much, or if something else happens, you've exercised, your blood sugar can go too low. Glucagon can counteract that and make sure that you don't end up in a dangerous situation because of severe low blood sugar. So first today, I'd love to pass it over to my colleague Eugenia. She comes to us from Mexico. She's now living in the States, so she's had lots of different experiences with glucagon and where it's available. Eugenia, can you tell us a little bit about your experience having glucagon on you now and why you know it's so important to have?
Yeah, glucagon is, it's something that you have to have, but hopefully you won't use it. So that's the important thing of glucagon. And in my experience, I never used glucagon, but me and my husband have diabetes and we both use insulin. So we trained our son. He was younger when we showed him about glucagon, but the old kind, like you have to prepare and everything. And it was hard because he tried to understand how to use it, and we had to try to trust him about that. Now it's easier because he's 16 now, and we have the nasal glucagon, so it's easier, and we carry everywhere. We have it in the bedroom, we have it in the bag. We have it everywhere because we know that hypoglycemia can happen anytime. Mm-hmm. And it's important to be prepared. We have it like, I don't know, it's like the insurance of the car. You have it, but you don't want to use it. So that's glucagon for us.
I love that. It's just like having insurance. You don't want to use it, but if you need it, it needs to be there. Ginger, I'd love to turn it over to you about your experience with glucagon and different times that you've had to think about using it and how you have had to use it over the years.
I think of glucagon as something that like you could go 2 decades without ever needing, but when you really need it, you're going to wish you had it if you don't. My personal experience with glucagon, I've never been unconscious during a low, but I have had 2 different stomach virus experiences, which is not something you necessarily think of as associated with severe low blood sugars. Usually we think of that more as like high blood sugars and dehydration and DKA. But one of my stomach viruses, I just ate Thanksgiving meal and then puked up 3 hours later, all the food I ate, and all that insulin is still in my system. And so I actually used the really old school emergency glucagon kit. The needle is terrifying because it's so thick. So I actually did not use the needle. I used a syringe. After mixing the ingredients, I used an insulin syringe and drew out a smaller amount instead of taking the whole thing. I didn't feel that I needed the whole dose of glucagon. And it worked. It did its job. My blood sugar did go a little too high, but I did not have a severe, scary low blood sugar. The time I wished I had glucagon when I didn't was when I was 8 months pregnant. I got norovirus. Same situation, had just eaten a large holiday meal, puked up everything, had so much insulin on board because I was 8 months pregnant. And we ended up driving like crazy fast to the emergency room that was a half hour away. I lived in the woods. And it would have been really nice to have glucagon during that situation. It would have calmed everybody down. I couldn't even keep a glucose tab down without vomiting more. I mean, it was like I could not touch any food or drink item. And you don't realize that's possible until you are that sick. And glucagon would have been very helpful.
I've definitely been in those situations where glucagon would have been helpful. And to your point, I never had a severe low until 20 years into living with type 1 diabetes. Now I get them a lot, and it's a little bit worrisome. It's like 2 or 3 a year that are rough. And I've definitely been in the situation where I'm sitting on my couch, pouring honey into my mouth. But luckily I do now have Baqsimi, the nasal glucagon, sitting next to me. And I know if I feel like I'm about to cross over that, then I have something that could save my life.
Yes.
Because it's scary to think of perhaps sitting in your apartment alone or anything like that.
Right. I now keep Baqsimi with me, and I carry it mostly in my dog walking bag, where I feel like I could be at most risk for a super low, and Skittles aren't going to cut it, kind of thing.
We also know there's 2 auto injectors available. So one is called Zegalogue, one is called Gvoke HypoPen. They work just like EpiPens, where it's just the real simple, not into your hand, into your stomach, your arms, your thighs, and you just inject it and you hold it down, and it gives the full dose automatically, which is so cool. And it's so great to have something that's so easy to use these days. I want to toss over to Todd because I know he shares Ginger and my experience of wishing he had it and not having it at the time.
Yeah, thanks, Lola. So I have been living with diabetes now for 21 years. I was diagnosed when I was 13 in 2000. And this incident happened in 2010. At the time, I was still using syringes. I didn't have a CGM. And I accidentally gave myself the wrong type of insulin. I think many people have heard of this happening or maybe done it themselves, where I was supposed to give my long-acting insulin, but I gave myself rapid-acting insulin, 14 units of Humalog. This was about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Did not have glucagon with me. I might have had an expired kit at my mom's house. I was living with my dad at the time. And I panicked. I mean, after an hour, my blood sugar was 40. I was eating all of the low snacks I had with me, and I kept checking on my BGM, and it just wouldn't go up. My blood sugar was in the 40s and 50s for, I think, like 2 or 3 hours. I actually ran out of low snacks. So I filled up a cup with water and I poured granulated sugar in it and mixed that. Eventually, hours later, like maybe 4 a.m., my blood sugar was up in the 400s, and I felt good about that. I was finally able to go to sleep. If I had had glucagon at the time, especially one of these newer glucagons, I definitely would have used it. I don't even think my dad was home that night. I think he was out. I guess it is important to note that technically, according to the FDA, you're not supposed to self-administer glucagon. It's supposed to be administered to you when you're unconscious. In practice, we know that many, many people with diabetes, in fact, more often than not, they are administering it to themselves, even if it's not an approved use. It's a great thing to have around, and it could be a lifesaver. And now I have Baqsimi, I have Xeris, I have Zegalogue, I have all of them. Hopefully I won't need to use them, but I would definitely feel a lot better using them than being in a similar situation where I'm just panicked and worried I might die.
For sure. Just like Eugenia mentioned, having them in multiple places, I think that's why it's also so useful that there are multiple options available now, that you can get different prescriptions filled. You can use different copay cards that the cost can be as low as it can possibly be on different versions of insurance and such. And I think one of the reasons I really like that there are different options available is that it's also really easy to share with your friends and family how to use it these days. I know when I first got my new glucagon prescription, I went on my Instagram stories and shared there how to use it, and that would be always be in my bag and really simple to use. Ellen, I would love for you to share your experience as someone who doesn't live with diabetes, but loves people with diabetes, of learning how to use glucagon and why you know it's so important and how it's changed having the different options available.
Yeah, I don't have diabetes under my roof right now, but our extended family we have 5 type 1s in our family. So we have lots of them. And I've always tried to keep myself aware of how to administer glucagon, because I know, like what Todd said, you're not supposed to be administering this to yourself. And I would assume, being non-diabetic, that if somebody needed this, they would be in such a state that they probably shouldn't be administering it because they would get it wrong. And in the past, I had known of glucagon as being something you had to mix and you had to inject a certain way. And I had my little instruction sheet, and it was very confusing and sort of scary to somebody who's not living with this, who doesn't do injections every day, to think I could really, really hurt this person if I did it wrong. And so with all of these newer types of glucagons or methods coming out that you can administer almost, with a fail-safe kind of thing. My daughter has a peanut allergy, and so she carries an EpiPen with her all the time. And I learned very long time ago how to administer an EpiPen. And I think these days, the peanut allergies are so common. If you don't have a peanut allergy, 10 other people who do. So the way of administering an EpiPen is very universal nowadays. And so the fact that glucagon is becoming more of that type of a way to administer things, it's wonderful. It takes the fear out. It takes the scary part out. It takes the where did I put my note part out. And I know that if somebody is low and perhaps on the ground and has a form of glucagon with them, that I can help them. And that's wonderful.
I love that.
Yeah.
To close out our discussion on glucagon, I want to go around the room and have each of us address that person who we know that we love, that still hasn't been able to fill the glucagon prescription, still doesn't have it. I want us each to share our words of encouragement for those people to go ahead and ask their doctor or their healthcare provider for glucagon and to fill that prescription. Ginger, I'm going to start with you.
So easy. Just carry it around in your pocket. You need it. There's no reason not to have it. It's like putting on a seatbelt when you go for a drive. You hope that nothing happens that causes you to fly through the windshield, but it's just in case, let's put a seatbelt on, Just ask your doctor for the prescription. So easy.
Awesome. Eugenia, I'm going to go over to you next.
I mean, we are lucky to have all that options now. And those options are made for people that doesn't have diabetes. I mean, everybody can use it, but it's thinking about, as you said, somebody that doesn't use injections and everything, they can use it. So it's easier, it's easy to grab, to have it, even the kids, if you train them for a situation, your kid can save your life. And that's really important.
Absolutely. Ellen, what would you like to tell us people?
It's hard in America, like what Ginger's saying, you need to go to your doctor and get a prescription and things for that. And from my point of view, my family members who have type 1 are either in Canada or in the United Kingdom. And so their healthcare system is completely different. I do know a lot of type 1s here in America, though, and I would highly encourage them, just like what Ginger said, just go to your doctor and ask for a script, because it's so much easier these days to get a hold of the meds.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, for a lot of us, if you're lucky, you might not even need to go to your doctor. I messaged my doctor. He was able to just fill the prescription remotely. I'm sure hopefully we can put in the notes somewhere how to get these newer glucagons, because there are really great programs available. And yeah, just to triple down on what everyone's saying, I hope I never use it, but I feel a lot safer having it. I'm less likely to panic into a rebound high, just knowing that worst comes to worst, I do have that glucagon with me, and it's small, it's easy to travel with. Just there's no reason not to have it, assuming that it's accessible to you.
Absolutely. And I think for me, I really want to encourage people to also think about the people who love you, who want to be able to help you. I know in the past couple of years when I've had a really severe low, it's scary to watch. If someone loves me and they see me going through that, they want to know that there's a way that they can help if things get bad. And so it ends up not just being about you saving your own life, which is of course very important, but it's truly a way to give a gift to the people who love you, to give them a way to help you. So we really encourage you to go ahead and get that glucagon prescription filled. Remember, there's nasal spray Baqsimi, and then there are auto injectors, Gvoke HypoPen, and Zegalogue, which we love. They're super simple to use, and they're available to you at various places. And we'll make sure that there are ways to get access to the copay cards and different insurance loopholes and the things you may need to know to get it for you. We'll make sure those links are included. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. We really appreciate having you here. Have a great day.